The Galactic Council chambers buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from dozens of species gathered around the crystalline conference table. Admiral Zexthyra of the Corvani Empire slammed her four-armed form against the surface, her purple exoskeleton clicking with agitation. "The Void Reapers have taken another system," she announced, her translator converting her chittering language into universal standard. "The Deltara Prime colony is gone. Every living being on 7 planets, consumed." A collective shudder ran through the assembled delegates. The Void Reapers had appeared from the dark regions between galaxies 6 months ago, bringing with them technology that defied understanding and an appetite for destruction that seemed limitless. Their ships moved like liquid shadow, absorbing energy weapons and converting matter into fuel for their endless expansion. "How many systems have fallen now?" asked Ambassador Thoric, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's lights into prismatic patterns. The Silicoids had been among the first to encounter the Reapers, losing 3 core worlds before their fleets could even mount a defense. 47 confirmed, replied General Vorthak of the reptilian hegemony, his scaled features grim. At their current rate of expansion, they'll reach the inner sectors within 2 months. The outer rim colonies are evacuating en masse. The chamber fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems. Each species represented here commanded fleets that had once seemed invincible. The Corvani possessed ships that could crack planets with focused plasma. The ethereal collective wielded psychic powers that could crush minds across star systems. The machine Concordat deployed swarms of self-replicating drones that had conquered 1,000 worlds, yet none of it mattered against the Void Reapers. "What of the humans?" asked a soft voice from the corner. All heads turned toward Speaker Milani of the Avian Confederation, her feathered crest fluffed with anxiety. "They've remained oddly silent during our emergency sessions." Admiral Zexthyra's mandibles clicked dismissively. "The humans are a young species. They've been part of the galactic community for barely 50 years. Their technology is primitive compared to ours, their fleets small. What could they possibly contribute to this crisis?" "They did defeat the Corvani invasion of the Terra system," Ambassador Thoric noted carefully. "That was unexpected." "A lucky victory," Zexthyra retorted, though her tone carried less conviction than her words. The defeat of her empire's expedition to claim Earth had been a source of embarrassment for years. Besides, the Void Reapers are not bound by the laws of physics as we understand them. Conventional weapons and tactics are useless. On the screens surrounding the chamber, live feeds showed the latest Reaper assault on the Gamma sector. Sleek alien warships fired every weapon in their arsenal at the approaching darkness, only to watch their attacks absorbed harmlessly. The Void Reapers moved like a living storm cloud, engulfing ships and converting their matter into raw energy before moving on to the next target. "Perhaps we should consider evacuation protocols for the inner systems," suggested General Vorthak reluctantly. "Fall back to the galactic core, establish defensive positions around our homeworlds, and abandon billions of sentient beings to those monsters?" Milani's voice rose to a screech. "There must be another way. Some weapon, some strategy we haven't considered." "The ancient archives," whispered Elder Nyx of the Ethereal Collective, her ghostly form shimmering into greater visibility. "The precursors faced a similar threat eons ago. Perhaps their knowledge could guide us." The precursors, the mysterious race that had ruled the galaxy millions of years before disappearing without trace, leaving behind only scattered ruins and cryptic warnings about threats from beyond the known universe. Many expeditions had tried to unlock their secrets, but the technology gap was simply too vast. "The precursor sites are heavily defended by automated systems," Admiral Zexthyra pointed out. "We've lost entire fleets trying to access their central databases. And even if we could break through their defenses, who's to say their technology would work against these Void Reapers?" The debate continued for hours, growing more desperate as reports flooded in of additional systems falling to the alien invasion. The Reapers seemed unstoppable, a force of pure entropy that consumed everything in their path. Their ships regenerated from damage almost instantly, adapted to new weapons within hours, and showed tactical intelligence that suggested a hive mind of terrifying sophistication. Finally, as the Council prepared to adjourn in defeat, the chamber's main communication array activated. A holographic figure materialized at the center of the table, causing several delegates to recoil in surprise. "Greetings, Galactic Council," said Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Navy, her crisp blue uniform bearing the simple insignia of humanity's Space Force. She was a compact woman with graying hair and eyes that held depths of experience, despite humanity's brief time among the stars. "Admiral Chen," Ambassador Thoric acknowledged with surprise, "we weren't expecting human participation in today's emergency session." "We've been monitoring the situation," Chen replied simply. "The Void Reaper threat is significant." Admiral Zexathira's mandibles twitched with barely concealed irritation. "Significant? Young human? These entities have destroyed civilizations that mastered space travel while your species was still discovering fire. This is beyond your comprehension." Chen's expression didn't change, but something dangerous flickered in her eyes. "Admiral Zexathira, with respect, your empire said something similar when you invaded our system. How did that work out for you?" The Corvani officer's exoskeleton darkened with anger, but before she could respond, Chen continued. "We've analyzed the Void Reaper attack patterns, their technology, their apparent objectives. You're right that conventional weapons are ineffective. They absorb energy, convert matter, adapt to known threats with remarkable speed." "Then you understand the futility of resistance," General Vorthak said grimly. "Even if every species in the galaxy united their fleets, we lack the firepower to stop them." "You're thinking like civilized beings," Chen replied, and her slight smile was anything but comforting. "You assume there are rules, boundaries, limits to what can be done in warfare. The Void Reapers certainly don't follow such constraints." She gestured, and the holographic display changed to show tactical readouts of human ship movements. Unlike the retreat patterns of other species, human vessels were moving toward the conflict zones. "What we lack in advanced technology, we make up for in creativity and adaptability. Humans have a saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough. We've had 50 years to study galactic technology, to understand not just how it works, but how it can be modified." "You're planning some desperate attack?" Milani asked, her voice trembling with hope and fear. "Not an attack," Chen corrected. "A demonstration. The Void Reapers think they understand warfare because they've conquered 1,000 galaxies using the same tactics. They've never faced humanity before." The alien delegates exchanged uncertain glances. The humans were known for their unpredictability, their tendency to find unconventional solutions to impossible problems. But the scale of the Void Reaper threat seemed beyond any clever trick or tactical innovation. "What exactly are you proposing?" Elder Nix asked, her ethereal voice carrying genuine curiosity. "Give us 72 hours, Chen said simply. "Continue your evacuation efforts, but don't abandon the Outer Rim yet. We're going to try something that's either brilliant or completely insane." "And the difference being?" Admiral Zexathira asked sarcastically. Chen's smile widened, and for a moment, every being in the chamber felt a chill that had nothing to do with the environmental controls. "Whether it works or not." The transmission ended, leaving the Galactic Council in stunned silence. In the depths of space, human ships were already moving into position for whatever desperate gambit their species had planned. The aliens could only watch and wait, hoping that humanity's reputation for impossible victories wasn't just propaganda. Unknown to them, Admiral Chen was already aboard the UES Prometheus, humanity's most advanced warship, as it approached the edge of Void Reaper territory. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their movements precise despite the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. "Admiral," reported Commander Park from the tactical station, "all ships are in position. The weapon is armed and ready." Chen nodded, studying the screens that showed the approaching darkness. Somewhere in that writhing mass of shadow and energy were the Void Reapers, confident in their superiority, unaware that they were about to face something they'd never encountered in their conquest of 1,000 worlds, humanity's capacity for violence when pushed too far. "Begin the operation," Chen ordered quietly. "Let's show these things what happens when you threaten Earth's neighbors." The human fleet moved forward into the darkness, carrying with them a weapon that violated every galactic treaty on prohibited warfare. But then, the Void Reapers had never signed those treaties, and sometimes, to defeat monsters, you had to become something even more terrifying. The Void Reapers had been consuming the Kalos system for 3 days when the human fleet arrived. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching through the main viewer as her ships took position around the dying star system. The sight before them was a nightmare of cosmic proportions. Where once 7 thriving worlds had orbited a bright yellow star, now only twisted metal and organic debris remained. The Void Reapers moved through the wreckage like hungry parasites, their ship forms shifting between liquid darkness and crystalline geometry. They consumed everything they touched, converting matter and energy into fuel for their endless expansion. "My God," whispered Commander Park, her voice barely audible over the bridge's quiet hum. "The scale of destruction." "Focus, Commander," Chen said firmly, though her own heart clenched at the sight. Somewhere in that debris field had been cities, families, entire civilizations. The Kalos system had been home to nearly 2 billion beings from 4 different species. "Sensor readings are disturbing, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Torres from the science station. "The Void Reapers aren't just destroying matter. They're somehow unmaking it at a quantum level, converting the fundamental forces into raw energy. It's like they're undoing the basic structure of reality itself." Chen nodded grimly. The scientific reports they'd received from other fleet encounters had suggested as much, but seeing it firsthand made the threat terrifyingly real. These weren't just aliens with superior technology. They were something that existed outside the normal parameters of physics. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the Galactic Council," announced Communications Officer Singh. "Admiral Zex Thyra is requesting an immediate status report." "Put her through," Chen ordered. The Corvani commander's image appeared on the secondary screen, her 4 arms gesticulating wildly. "Admiral Chen, what is your fleet doing?" Zexathyra demanded. "Our sensors show you've moved directly into the combat zone. This is madness. The Void Reapers will consume your ships just as they have everything else." "Thank you for your concern, Admiral," Chen replied politely. "We're proceeding according to plan." "What plan?" "You've brought 30 ships against an enemy that destroyed a 1,000-ship ethereal battle group without taking a single casualty. Even if your weapons are effective, which our analysis suggests they cannot be, you lack the firepower to make any meaningful impact." From the background of Zexathyra's transmission, Chen could hear other council members shouting urgent questions and warnings. The entire galactic leadership was watching this moment, hoping against hope that humanity had found some miracle solution to the Void Reaper threat. "Admiral," came another voice, as Elder Nix's ghostly form materialized beside Zexthyra. "Our psychic probes cannot penetrate whatever force surrounds the Void Reapers. They exist in a state of quantum uncertainty that defies our understanding." "What makes you believe human technology can succeed where ours has failed?" Chen smiled, and something in that expression made even the ethereal being recoil slightly. "Because we're not using technology, Elder Nix. We're using biology. The transmission cut off before the alien leaders could respond, leaving them to puzzle over Chen's cryptic words. On the Prometheus bridge, the crew prepared for an operation that would have been considered a war crime if used against any civilized species. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Park announced. "Project Hydra is armed and standing by." Chen took a deep breath, thinking of the meetings, arguments, and moral debates that had led to this moment. When the Void Reapers had first appeared, humanity's scientific community had approached the problem differently than their galactic allies. While other species focused on weapons and shields and conventional military responses, human researchers had asked a more fundamental question. What if the Void Reapers weren't machines or energy beings, but something organic? The breakthrough had come from Dr. Elizabeth Warren at the Luna Research Station. While analyzing debris from Void Reaper attacks, she'd noticed microscopic structures that resembled cellular material. Not carbon-based like Earth life, but organized in ways that suggested biological processes. The Void Reapers weren't just consuming matter, they were digesting it. If they were biological, that meant they could get sick. "Begin deployment," Chen ordered quietly. Across the human fleet, cargo bays opened to release clouds of microscopic organisms. To outside observers, it looked like the humans were jettisoning waste or debris. Even the Void Reapers, despite their apparent intelligence, showed no reaction to what appeared to be harmless biological matter. The organisms were humanity's greatest achievement in biological warfare, developed in secret over decades of research into alien biology. Officially, such weapons were banned by every galactic treaty. Unofficially, every species maintained biological warfare programs for exactly this kind of scenario. But humanity's program was different. While other races focused on creating diseases that would affect specific alien physiologies, humans had developed something far more insidious, a synthetic virus that attacked the quantum structures that held exotic matter together. "Dispersal complete," reported Torres. "The organisms are spreading through the debris field, following programmed seeking patterns." The Void Reapers continued their consumption of the Kalos system, unaware that they were about to become infected with something that would rewrite their existence at the molecular level. The synthetic virus was designed to be completely undetectable until it began its work, using the Reapers' own matter conversion processes to spread throughout their ship organisms. "Time to initial symptoms?" Chen asked. "Based on lab projections, 12 to 18 minutes, Torres replied. "The virus needs time to analyze their cellular structure and adapt its attack vectors." Chen nodded, watching the screens that showed the massive Void Reaper forms moving through the system. Each one was kilometers long, shifting between states of matter as they fed. Their technology was so advanced it bordered on magic, capable of manipulating reality itself. But they were still alive, and anything alive could die. "Admiral, we're receiving urgent communications from multiple Galactic Council fleets," Singh announced. "They're demanding to know what we've deployed. Sensor readings show massive biological contamination throughout the system." "Tell them to maintain safe distance and observe," Chen ordered. "And remind them that biological warfare protocols require a minimum 50,000-kilometer separation." The waiting was the hardest part. Chen watched the chronometer count down minutes while her crew maintained tense silence. Everything depended on Dr. Warren's theoretical work being correct. If the Void Reapers weren't biological, if their quantum nature protected them from viral attack, then humanity had just wasted their only chance to make a difference. At 14 minutes, 37 seconds, the first Void Reaper began to show signs of distress. "Admiral," Torres called out excitedly, "energy readings from the largest Reaper vessel are fluctuating. Its matter conversion processes are becoming erratic." On screen, they could see the kilometer-long entity beginning to writhe. Its smooth transitions between liquid and solid states became jerky, uncontrolled. Sections of its hull began to bubble and distort as the synthetic virus attacked the quantum bonds holding its exotic matter together. "It's working," breathed Commander Park. "The virus is actually affecting them." More Void Reapers began showing symptoms as the engineered organism spread through their connected consciousness. Their feeding stopped abruptly as internal systems began to fail. The ships that had seemed like gods of destruction were suddenly revealed as merely very advanced biological entities. And biological entities could be killed. "All ships, begin Phase 2, Chen commanded. "Target the infected vessels with conventional weapons while their defenses are compromised." The human fleet opened fire with every weapon they possessed. Railguns, plasma cannons, and missile swarms struck the writhing Void Reapers. For the first time since the invasion began, their attacks found purchase. Hull sections that had previously absorbed energy now buckled and tore under sustained bombardment. The response from the Void Reapers was immediate and terrifying. The infected vessels released massive energy bursts in all directions, apparently trying to purge the virus from their systems. The uncontrolled discharges vaporized debris and sent shock waves through local space. "Damage report," Chen called as the Prometheus shook under the assault. "Minor hull breaches on decks 7 and 12, Park reported. "All ships are maintaining formation. The Reapers' attacks seemed desperate rather than coordinated." Indeed, the alien entities appeared to be in agony. Their movements had become completely erratic, with some ships colliding with others in their distress. The virus was spreading faster than anticipated, jumping between vessels through whatever quantum connection linked their consciousness. "Admiral," Singh announced, "incoming priority transmission from the Galactic Council. All species are requesting immediate information about the biological agent we've deployed." "Not now," Chen replied curtly. She was watching something unprecedented unfold before her eyes. The Void Reapers, the unstoppable force that had consumed 47 star systems, were dying. But their death throes were anything but quiet. As more ships succumbed to the viral infection, they began releasing the stored energy of entire solar systems. Massive explosions lit up the Kalos system as quantum containment fields failed and converted matter was released all at once. "All ships, emergency withdrawal to minimum safe distance," Chen ordered. "The Reapers are going critical." The human fleet pulled back just as the largest Void Reaper vessel underwent catastrophic failure. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away, a brief new sun that outshone everything in local space. When the light faded, nothing remained of the creature that had consumed 7 worlds. But the virus wasn't finished. It continued spreading through the Void Reaper fleet, each infected vessel becoming a carrier that spread the synthetic organism to others. Within an hour, the entire invasion force in the Kalos system was either dead or dying. Chen stood in the sudden quiet of her bridge, watching the last Void Reaper expire in a burst of uncontrolled energy. Around them, space was filled with exotic debris and quantum distortions, but the immediate threat was over. "Status of the viral agent?" she asked quietly. "Readings show it's already beginning to break down," Torres reported. "As designed, it has a limited lifespan once separated from host organisms. Within 72 hours, no trace will remain in local space." That had been critical to the weapon's development. The synthetic virus was engineered to be completely temporary, unable to survive without active host organisms to provide the specific quantum conditions it needed to replicate. It would kill the Void Reapers, then die itself, leaving no chance for uncontrolled spread. "Admiral Chen," came Admiral Zexathira's voice over communications. "What have you done?" Chen looked at the screen showing the devastated system, now free of the entities that had been consuming it. In the distance, she could see Galactic Council fleets moving closer, their sensors undoubtedly analyzing every aspect of what they'd just witnessed. "We won," Chen said simply. The question now is what comes next. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in complete chaos. Representatives from every major species crowded into the chamber, their voices creating a cacophony of demands, accusations, and barely contained panic. At the center of it all stood Admiral Chen, her small human form somehow commanding attention despite being surrounded by beings twice her size. Biological warfare is banned by 17 separate galactic treaties, Admiral Zexthyra declared, her forearms gesticulating wildly. What you've done violates every principle of civilized warfare. The Void Reapers weren't signatories to those treaties, Chen replied calmly. And they certainly didn't show any restraint when consuming 47 star systems. Elder Nix's ghostly form shimmered with agitation. You don't understand the implications of what you've unleashed. Our analysis of the weapon's quantum signature suggests it could potentially affect any biological entity in the galaxy. You've created a doomsday device. The accusation sent ripples of fear through the assembled delegates. The idea that humanity possessed a weapon capable of destroying all organic life was terrifying to beings who had assumed themselves safe behind superior technology and ancient wisdom. The weapon is already inert, Chen explained patiently. It was designed with a 72-hour degradation cycle. Within 3 days of deployment, no trace of the synthetic virus exists anywhere in the galaxy. But you could build another, General Vorthak interjected, his scaled features dark with suspicion. Your species now possesses knowledge that makes you the most dangerous force in known space. Chen studied the alien faces around her, reading fear, anger, and calculation in their expressions. She had expected this reaction. Humanity had just demonstrated that they could kill any biological entity in the galaxy, regardless of technology or defensive capabilities. The balance of power had shifted dramatically, and not in favor of the established galactic order. What happens now? Asked Speaker Milani. Her feathered crest pressed flat against her skull. The Void Reapers are gone. But what's to stop humanity from using this weapon against the rest of us? The same thing that's always stopped us, Chen replied. We're not conquerors. We've had nuclear weapons capable of destroying our own planet for over a century, but we've never used them in warfare since their first deployment. Power without wisdom is destruction. Wisdom without power is useless. Humanity learned that lesson the hard way. Ambassador Thoric's crystalline form refracted light nervously. But you must understand our concern. Your species has only been part of the galactic community for 50 years. We barely know you, and now you've revealed capabilities that exceed anything in our arsenals. You know us better than you think, Chen said quietly. We've been part of this community through every major crisis. When the Andromedans invaded, human ships fought alongside yours. When the quantum plague threatened the Vega colonies, human scientists worked day and night to find a cure. When your own empires were threatened, we didn't stand aside and calculate benefit. We helped. The chamber fell silent as delegates remembered the truth of her words. Humanity might be young by galactic standards, but they had proven themselves reliable allies repeatedly. Their ships were always among the first to respond to distress calls. Their scientists eagerly shared research, and their diplomats worked tirelessly for peaceful solutions. The Corvani invasion of the Terra system, Elder Nix said slowly. We assumed you won through luck or some unknown defensive technology, but it was this weapon, wasn't it? Chen shook her head. No, that was conventional military strategy and some very creative engineering. We didn't develop the quantum virus until after we encountered the Void Reapers. Dr. Warren's research was specifically designed to counter their unique biology. Then how? Admiral Zexthyra demanded. My fleets were among the finest in the galaxy. Your weapons were primitive, your tactics untested. By every logical analysis, you should have been conquered within days. For the first time, Chen smiled genuinely. Because you fought us like civilized beings. You followed established protocols, used traditional tactics, expected us to respond according to galactic military doctrine. But humans don't fight like that when our homes are threatened. She gestured, and the chamber's holographic display activated, showing tactical readouts from the Battle of Terra. The alien delegates watched in fascination as human ships performed maneuvers that violated every principle of conventional space combat. You attacked our orbital installations first, expecting us to defend them, Chen explained. Instead, we evacuated them and filled them with antimatter charges. When your ships moved in close for boarding actions, we detonated the entire defensive grid simultaneously. The display showed the massive explosion that had crippled a third of the Corvani fleet in a single moment. Admiral Zexithira's mandibles clicked with what might have been admiration or horror. Then you moved to capture our industrial shipyards, Chen continued. Standard protocol would be to destroy them rather than let them fall into enemy hands. Instead, we let you take them. Then activated computer viruses that turned your own captured manufacturing systems against you. The shipyards began producing modified drones that appeared to be standard mining equipment, but were actually loaded with fusion warheads. Suicide drones disguised as civilian equipment, General Vorthak muttered. Completely outside the accepted parameters of warfare. When you're fighting for survival, there are no acceptable parameters, Chen said simply. Only victory or extinction. The difference between humans and most galactic species is that we remember what extinction feels like. We've lived with that possibility for our entire history. Ambassador Thoric's form pulsed with concern. And this philosophy extends to your current capabilities? You would use the quantum virus against any species that threatened humanity? Chen's expression grew serious. We would use any weapon necessary to protect ourselves or our allies. But understand this, we developed the virus specifically to counter the Void Reapers. It was never intended as a weapon against galactic civilization. But it could be used as such, Elder Nyx pressed. The quantum structure that allowed it to attack the Reapers would be equally effective against any biological entity. Yes, Chen admitted. Just as your psychic powers could be used to enslave every non-telepathic species in the galaxy. Just as Corvani plasma technology could sterilize entire worlds, just as silicoid quantum manipulation could collapse star systems, every species here possesses the capability for galactic genocide. The question isn't capability, it's intent. The chamber erupted in arguments as delegates debated the implications of Chen's words. Some called for immediate sanctions against humanity. Others demanded access to the virus technology for their own defense. A few suggested that humans should be expelled from the galactic community entirely. Through it all, Chen waited patiently, letting them voice their fears and anger. Finally, when the cacophony died down, she spoke again. There's something else you need to know, she said quietly. The Void Reapers weren't the only threat from beyond the galactic rim. Every being in the chamber froze. The silence was absolute, broken only by the hum of life support systems. Explain, Elder Nyx whispered. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected additional quantum signatures moving toward our galaxy, Chen continued. The Void Reapers were just the first wave. Analysis suggests at least 3 more extinction-level threats are approaching from different vectors. The implications hit the delegates like a physical blow. If the Void Reapers had been merely an advance force, the galaxy faced enemies beyond anything they had imagined. How long? Admiral Zexithira asked, her voice stripped of its earlier hostility. Between 18 months and 3 years, depending on their method of faster-than-light travel, Chen replied. We have time to prepare, but not much. And you're telling us this because? General Vorthak prompted. Because we're going to need each other, Chen said simply. Humanity can't face multiple extinction events alone, and neither can any single species represented here. The quantum virus worked against the Void Reapers, but it might be useless against whatever's coming next. Speaker Milani ruffled her feathers nervously. What do you propose? Full military integration, Chen replied immediately. Shared technology, combined fleets, coordinated defense strategies. Every species contributes their unique capabilities to a unified galactic defense force. Under human command, no doubt, Admiral Zexathira said suspiciously. Under whoever is most qualified for each specific threat, Chen corrected. Humans excel at biological warfare and unconventional tactics. Corvani technology is superior for energy-based weapons. Ethereal psychic abilities could be crucial against hive-mind entities. Silicoid quantum manipulation might be the key to understanding exotic physics weapons. She paused, looking around the chamber at faces that showed fear, hope, and desperate calculation. The age of individual species dominating through superior technology is over, Chen continued. The threats we face come from beyond our galaxy, from civilizations that have conquered entire galactic clusters. Our only chance is to combine our strengths and cover each other's weaknesses. The debate that followed lasted for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. Faced with extinction-level threats that would arrive within years, the galactic community had no choice but to accept humanity's proposal. Treaties were drafted, technologies shared, and fleets integrated under a new unified command structure. Admiral Chen found herself appointed as Supreme Military Coordinator, a position that would have been unthinkable for a human just days earlier. But the delegates had seen what human tactical thinking could accomplish when faced with impossible odds. As the session ended and representatives dispersed to inform their governments of the new alliance, Elder Nix approached Chen privately. You knew this would happen, the ethereal being accused. The additional threats, the forced cooperation, this was all calculated. Chen met the alien's ghostly gaze steadily. Humanity has survived by being prepared for the worst-case scenario. When we detected the Void Reapers, our deep space arrays immediately began searching for additional threats. We found them. And the quantum virus was always intended to be temporary and specific, Chen replied. We could have built something that would persist, something we could deploy against any biological target. Instead, we chose to create a weapon that would die with its intended victims. Elder Nix's form shimmered with what might have been approval. A demonstration of restraint as much as power. When you're the most dangerous predator in the forest, Chen said quietly, the best strategy is to make sure everyone knows you're not hunting them. She turned to leave, then paused. The galaxy is going to change, Elder Nix. The old balance of power, the careful diplomacy, the assumption that superior technology guarantees survival, all of it is ending. What matters now is whether we can adapt fast enough to survive what's coming. As Chen walked away, leaving the ethereal being alone in the vast chamber, her words echoed with prophetic weight. The human fleet was already moving to new positions throughout the galaxy, preparing for wars that would make the Void Reaper invasion look like a minor skirmish. But now they wouldn't fight alone. Humanity had earned its place not through conquest or intimidation, but by proving that sometimes the most dangerous weapon was the willingness to use it wisely. The galaxy would learn to fear the approach of human fleets, but they would also learn to be grateful for their presence. Because when humanity entered a battlefield, it meant that someone still believed the war could be won. And in the dark years ahead, that belief would make all the difference.